Today I review the movie version of Batman the Killing Joke. Hello and welcome to the show with reviews. I'm Auram, and this week we're going to be talking about Batman the Killing Joke, the movie version, obviously. Last week we talked about the comic version, so now that the movie is out, we're going to talk about that. So, let's get started. Alright, like I said last time, normally the way I structure my reviews is I talk about the good, the bad, and then get into spoiler territory, so let's start with the good. Overall, this was a great adaptation of the comic. It's almost beat for beat spot on, which was fantastic on DC's part. I've watched a few of their animated movies so far, and the only other one that kind of beat for beat matches a comic that I've personally read was Justice League War, which was almost spot on the New 52 Origin comic, and that was just as great. And they did add some stuff that wasn't exclusively in the Killing Joke comic, but when they did add that stuff, it didn't feel obtrusive, it didn't feel unnecessary, it just felt fluid. Except for the Batgirl stuff, but we'll get into that later. The voice acting, of course, was phenomenal. Mark Hamill, Kevin Conroy, Tara Strong, all of them, everyone in this movie did a great job. The animation was great as well. Sometimes when I'm watching the DC animated movies, they feel kind of stiff and not the best polished thing in the world, which is surprising to me because a lot of their TV shows are more polished than some of their movies, but here everything felt fluid and nice. And I didn't feel betrayed at any point during this movie. A big issue with things being adapted on the silver screen from books or comic books is that fans of the original work sometimes feel betrayed by what's on the screen, and I read Killing Joke just like 2 days before this movie, so it was very fresh in my mind, and everything they did here was just spot on. But of course I'm going to contradict myself with that last statement by moving on to what I didn't like about the movie, the bad. Okay, so I mentioned earlier the Batgirl stuff. It wasn't bad, it just felt very unnecessary, and it felt like a completely different movie than The Killing Joke, which makes sense because the Batgirl stuff was its own one-shot leading into The Killing Joke in the comics, not part of The Killing Joke. And I understand why they added it in. If it wasn't there, the movie would not have been over an hour long, which personally I'd be fine with, but they just needed that extra padding there for whatever reason. And I have heard a lot of buzz of people hating this movie because of the Batgirl stuff, which makes no sense to me. Obviously it's its own thing, it's just the Batgirl part of the movie. If you really just want The Killing Joke, then skip to The Killing Joke. There's just this weird disconnect that people seem to have on DC animated movies and just normal movies. Like, if this was a live-action movie that wasn't called The Killing Joke at all, and this is the first time we'd be seeing this story, I guarantee you people would be praising the Batgirl part. It's just the fact that it wasn't in the initial Killing Joke comic that people are very upset about. Other than that, I did kind of want to touch on the coloring in this movie, since that's kind of a big thing with the Killing Joke comic. It did lend itself more towards the recoloring instead of the original coloring, which I'm fine with. I would have preferred the original coloring. Alright, so spoilers time. If you don't want spoilers for this movie or the Killing Joke comic, leave the video now or skip ahead. Whatever you want to do. I'm about to talk about spoilers, so be forewarned. Right off the bat, one of the big things that they added into this movie was a relationship between Batgirl and Batman. And not like they know each other, it's like they're kind of romantically involved, but like in a weird way. I don't know, I didn't particularly care for it. I don't know if they've ever had a thing in the comics, but as an outsider looking in on their relationship, I've always kind of seen it as an older brother, younger sister relationship, or just like brother-sister in general. Nothing romantic there. Especially since Batman was around when Barbara was like very young, so there's obviously a big age difference there, which doesn't matter too much, but it's still just weird, especially since Batgirl is kind of Batman's protege, in a sense. Moving on, I'm glad that they kept the ending to this ambiguous. I was worried that they were going to show Batman kill Joker or show him very clearly not kill Joker, but they left it pretty much as ambiguous as the comic. There was kind of a trade-off, though. Batman kept laughing while Joker's laughing stopped very abruptly, but there was no police light that kind of went off that symbolizes Joker's joke that he was telling. Also, the poison buzzer theory where Batman paralyzed Joker is nowhere to be seen in this movie. He doesn't pick that buzzer up, and Joker just kind of throws it away on his own volition, so that's not here. And there was a post-credits scene in this movie. It was basically Barbara just wheeling her way into like a secret place in their apartment, and then she like became Oracle or something. I don't know what that means. I don't know if they're gonna make more movies in this universe, or we're gonna get a Birds of Prey movie or something. I don't know. Could also just be that that was a treat for those of us who know what Oracle is. All in all, it was a great adaptation of The Killing Joke. It kind of makes me want Marvel to do more stuff like this. The closest we have is Earth's Mightiest Heroes, which did kind of do beat-for-beat comic stuff, like this movie did. So yeah, that's my review of The Killing Joke movie. I thought it was great. Some people thought it was awful. I don't know. Let's talk about it in the comments. And of course, before you head out, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on anything that I upload every other Wednesday and every Saturday. That all being said, thank you so much for watching. Next time, I just buy up like a stockpile of Hawaiian t-shirts because Joker, you're just inspiring me with that Hawaiian aesthetic. I like it.